Hello, Radio 568. This is DJ Don't Stop. This is my little radio segment that I have via Fridays where things make sense. And we have a lot of things going on. And yeah, there's things. How you feel, Dr. Professor? How's your week been?
I'm good. I'm good. We had very interesting classes this week. In fact, what you're going to be talking about today in Where Things Make Sense to Matthew Bishop,
Right.
we were talking about stereotypes and had a very fiery discussion in my media class about stereotypes in the media. We were looking at, and it's very interesting that what you're going to be talking about today. I'll let you introduce it, but I'm going to kind of give a little warm up here. We were talking about how Arabs are treated in a very bad way in Hollywood, and the Arab character in Hollywood is treated as kind of like the villain most of the time. And we went through Jack Shaheen's theories on that, and I presented a little documentary about the real bad Arab. That's REEL,
REEL.
real, like they're bad in the movies.
All right, movie reels.
Yeah, like
Gotcha.
movie real. So real bad Arabs, and he had a lot of examples of how the Arab is seen as the villain, as the bad guy, womanizer, et cetera, et cetera. And many in the class took it in a very different way than I thought. They saw Jack Shaheen, the academic who was making the argument, as being one-sided, and that in fact that Arabs are, in some sense, the way they are depicted in films. And I found that very surprising.
I find that to be, you know what? It's funny because usually people don't know anything outside of what they're taught. So if you're showing them a whole bunch of movies about how they're taught to think, then they're gonna be like, well, that is the way it is. But and if you ask them, so what makes you think this is exactly how they are? They're gonna be like, well, because of things that's happening in the world. And it feels like kind of we have this mentality that, and it's the same mentality that many of the Arabs have as well. We have the mentality that Arab equals bad. And the same Arabs that we're depicting in that same sense have the mentality that America equals bad.
And
So,
where do we get a lot of that? A lot of that we do get through the media
right.
products that we watch, because it for some reason we keep paying for movies that are about the bad Arab and the good white guy that comes in and saves it. Of course, it could be the good black guy too, because the African American actor character has become kind of the hero with Denzel Washington and all that. So,
Will Smith.
but it's the American male hero who comes in and takes care of that bad Muslim terrorist. And Shaheen talks about the fact that in Hollywood films, Arab equals Muslim equals terrorist.
Right. And yeah, I'll say, and to touch on that, I think that's the way how it's been for whoever was America's enemy at that time. Even if you go back to, I know, back when you was a kid and you had your first colored comic book, Superman's main villain used to be the Nazis. Captain America was anti-Germany. Even, I mean, people don't know this when they watch the Captain America film today, but the reason why his original bad guy was the Nazis because Captain America was made to beat up Nazi Germany. And it feels like media is always trying to find a new cool way or a way to make people feel um more like a subconscious thing, like, yeah, I know they're the bad guy because I remember, blah blah blah, and there was the bad guy in this. So it's like, I think there's a connection with that. Whenever there's like a movie about Arab bad guys, it's because right now Arabs are the bad guys. If there's a movie about German and Nazi bad guys, it's because at that time German Nazi were the bad guys.
Right, right. And it does change. And at one time, like the mafia, Italians are bad because they're all in the mafia. And at one time, the Jew was bad. Going back to Shakespeare, the Shylock kind of character. You have to find that other, and it's considered the other person. The other, it's not even a person; it's the other that you can point at and say, there is the problem. There is how we're going to solve it. And as long as that other is not human and is is a kind of a stereotypical idea of something that basically you are afraid of, but it's something you're making up because it's not real. Um, you then attack that other. Unfortunately, the other is represented by real human beings, and that other then is hurt and gets swept up in our stereotypical hatred of that which we don't understand and which we're not really willing to take the time to understand. And so the arguments that were made in the class were such as, yeah, we know that these are stereotypes of the Arab, but stereotypes are based on reality. And that whole way of thinking, I had to argue against, but I don't think I got too far. It seems to me that a stereotype, just by the fact that it is a stereotype, is false. It's false on the face of it. It's false on the bottom of it. It's false. And to say that stereotypes have some kind of reasonable basis in reality actually makes the stereotype more important than it really is. It almost makes it real, but a stereotype is not real. It's totally made up. I've been trying to think of an analogy for how we can talk about stereotypes as not being real, and the argument that because stereotypes are based on something that's real, that Jews are cheap. There's a stereotype.
Right.
Um, I know a lot of Jews, and some are cheap and some aren't. But then I know other people who are cheap who are not Jewish. It has nothing to do with anything. And just because you can find an example of a cheap Jew doesn't mean that Jews are all cheap. It's false. It's a falseness. There is no basis in reality because that's not where we live. You can go to any ethnicity or any race and you can make them into the other. You can make them into a cartoon figure by saying something. These people are, and you can find that about any other, whether that other is a black American or the other is a Chinese or the other is African from Africa or the other is Arabic. There's all these others. But I had an interesting experiment that because I was thinking about this and I didn't go too far. But if you were to say, name me one stereotype. Now you listen to this.
Mhm.
Name me one stereotype that is about the white man that does not include a reference to a minority. Just a stereotype about white men. Like one is white men can't jump,
Right.
but that's a reference
A black
to
stereotype.
black men can jump.
Right.
Of course, I don't know if all black men can jump or not, but it's a reference to a black stereotype. So name one white stereotype.
The only one white stereotype I could name was just a joke. Uh
One that's really well known that people would
oh
say, I
no, no, I don't know
a
one.
white stereotype. I mean, you
A
can
white stereotype. I don't know that.
you can come up with
Only white stereotype I could think of is that all white men are. It's not even. Nah, there's no real white stereotype except for white
you
men
can you
can't
can
jump.
easily think of Italian stereotypes,
Mafia,
Jewish
mob,
stereotypes,
cheap,
Chinese stereotypes,
rude, eat dogs,
black stereotypes.
can't swim,
Right, there's a
going to
lot of
rob
them.
you.
There's a lot of them
Yeah, it's a lot. Right.
in our country. You can go on and on. Japanese stereotypes. You can go on and on and on because they all could be considered at one point as the other,
Right.
as
I wonder
this.
where did the stereotype start? Where was the assumption of the stereotype? Because it feels like it's predominantly American right now for stereotypes. I kind of feel, but then again, I feel like maybe if we were to go to other, well, I never experienced other countries outside of West Indian culture. Um, Maybe if we go to other countries, we might find different stereotypes that we never heard of that they feel about white people. But according to our media, our stereotypes are very different from how it's just, I guess it's just our stereotypes or whatever.
Yeah, I one of the things we talked about this week in class was the idea of the racial signifier. As and in our country, the racial signifier in a great part of the world, that which everything else gets meaning from is the white male. Everything becomes the white male is kind of the base, white in our country, and then everything else becomes meaningful based on its relationship
To the white
that
male.
to the white male. And it's very, very difficult to get away from that thinking. It's almost like it's a default way of thinking.
Would that also be in part of the fact that 77% of America is white, and you know, would that
That's
have anything to do with it, more or less?
well, maybe at
I mean,
one
it is the
time. That's
majority.
that it's moving in the other direction. I mean, this country is becoming, a multicolored, and is going to be eventually, not in too distant future, mostly brown and black and yellow, and not white. But the power center is going to probably stay within that white cultural mindset, in which the racial signifier will continue to be white. And we just have to, I think, we have to be aware of that. And so when asked the question, can you think of a white stereotype? You can't, because the white is the base on which all the other stereotypes are, rise up against and are compared against.
Right.
You asked the question, where does stereotypes begin? I think they begin in fear. I
True.
think I
Right.
think we're all from tribes, originally from tribes, and I'm living with my tribe in a cave, and there's this other tribe over there, and I don't really know them, but because I don't know them, I fear them. I don't, I don't incorporate them into my culture, into my society. I'm in my own cave,
You fear what you don't know.
and I'm fearing them, and in fearing them, I need to make them into objects.
Turn them to savages.
I need to make them into a savage,
Mm.
so that my group is better than their group. And if I need to kill them, I can, because I'm not really killing a human being. I'm killing some stereotype, this savage, this thing,
Right.
this object that I'm creating.
Even it's funny. Even when you say that, and your classes with media, um, whenever there's something that happens over the Middle East, if soldiers died, oh, such and such American, or such and such people, or such and such, something that sounds powerful. But whenever it's the opposition, we don't consider them as people. It's like, well, such and such Alcadians, or such and such people that were members of this terror organization. And we forget, that we don't forget, but we choose to ignore the fact that these are also people. We do subjugate them to being less than, more or less than people. We don't classify them in the same realm as we classify ourselves.
They're not people. They're not people. A person is someone that I'm recognizing that has something to do with me. But how can a group of Southern white people take another human being, and string that human being up to a tree, and do just vile things to that human being, unless you see that person
Person
as
as not a person.
not a person. This is not a person. It's not even a dog. It's like a dog I have feelings for.
Right.
This is something that is hateful, that I hate, and is dangerous
It's
to
a
me.
vile creature.
It's a vile creature that needs to be expunged. Not only expunged, but it needs to be expunged in a cruel and awful way, so that I can feel superior.
And it's funny, I was actually watching this not too long ago, an HBO documentary about I forgot the man's name, but it's talking about skinheads and Ku Klux Klan members. Oh, Izzy is here. Shouts to Izzy being over here. Go on mic number 4 over there. On mic number 4. What they were saying was that they felt that the white man is being subjugated and being less than somebody in America. I was like, really? If the white man is losing, then who's winning? Also, what they were saying is, this number 4 there. Also, what they were saying is that they feel like when it comes down to the white race, that I forgot exactly what I was saying, because Izzy came in the room and distracted me completely.
That's all right.
Whoops.
Yeah,
That's all
whoops,
right.
indeed.
Well, why don't we say hi to Izzy?
Yeah, what's up,
Well,
Izzy?
Izzy's getting her headsets on, so
Yeah.
All right. All right. So yeah, but honestly, what it came down to more or less was that I remember there's one section in the movie where 3 members of his skinhead clan had killed a black teenager, and when the main person, I guess a protagonist, if you want to call him that, of the documentary, when he was asked about how he felt about that, he said, "I don't feel no type of way for that black person that died because he's nothing to me. What I do feel for is the three white teenagers that now have that horrible record on their have that horrible statement on their record that they've been in jail for murder, when they didn't even murder a real person, they just murdered a black person." And he made sure he mentioned that. And the thing that threw me off about it was, you feel sorry because they killed a black person and they're going to have something on their record that says they went to jail for murder, but you don't care about the black person that died. And their whole view of America and the white man in America is like, it's almost amazing because as a black person, if I was to live the way they're living, I wouldn't be anything. But as a white person, I don't think any of them have jobs because every day is just another Klan meeting, another skinhead meeting, but they eat every day. Like
Well,
that kind of threw me off. I'm like, how do they eat every day?
yeah,
I don't know. Something
I
about that just
well
threw
because
me off.
because you're seeing the world from your point of view and from your morality, from your values. They have a different set of values that really has nothing to do with yours.
Right.
They don't see when they open their eyes in the morning. They don't see the same world that you see. It's a different world. Um, but that's okay. We all see the world differently. It seems to me the difference is between the person who who sees the world in one way and will always see the world that way. Will always have that point of view. Will be
Mm.
stuck in that way of seeing, as opposed to the person who's on the other end of the spectrum, who is constantly reconsidering and relooking and saying, well, this is the way I see it today, but I've got new information coming in and I need to reconsider that idea. Let me think about that idea.
Right.
I think most of the world is afraid of that sense of relooking because it's scary to relook. Because when you relook at the world, your old self is maybe going to die. Now, a new self is going to be reborn,
Right.
but some people don't know that. They
Some
don't
people
know
don't
that
like
there's
change anyway, huh?
no. It's not even like they're totally bollocksed up by change. The
Mm.
change is death.
I think that sometimes what you're saying on relooking or re-examining themselves, it's like they're so used to a certain identity, they're so used to that, that's their comfort. And when they realize something that is comfortable to them is shattered, it's like, what do I do? Like they're sort of
Exactly.
disoriented. So it's either you go either two or three ways, I guess. Either you go on the path of your old self
And just stick to that.
and just stay there, or you go on and re-examine everything, or I don't know. Wait, I forgot what the
Or
third
you do
was.
take some middle path. And
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's a middle thing because you're not going to live in a day to day where you're kind of rethinking everything all the time because
Mhm.
then who are you? But
Mm.
you do modify. I mean, if you are, to me, what a college student is eventually when you leave is someone who is willing to reconsider a point of view that they've held for a while. Eventually, you reconsider it and you have a new point of view that maybe down the line you will reconsider.
Oh, that happened to me lots of
I'm
times.
Well, good.
gonna say this as well. I feel like the way how we look at the world also comes down to the same way as there's stories. You know, there's always three parts of a story: my side, your side, and the truth. And I feel like that's the same way when it comes to looking at the world. It's the way how you perceive it, the way the world wants you to perceive it, and the way the world really is.
I'm I'm gonna I'm gonna be partially agreeing with you and partially not.
Okay.
The third part of the way the world is, I don't that doesn't really mean anything to me. I think it the world is becoming. It's always becoming, and there is if you say this is a new kind of approach I'm taking to
It's all right.
how I see things. I'm reading this.
Oh, you making new approaches, and how old are you now? Oh man,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
you
It's
could
like
teach old dogs new tricks, huh?
Ah,
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been reading this guy Deleuze, who's just been blowing my mind, and his key word is becoming. Reality, there is no reality. It's
Right.
always in the process of becoming. And so I'm with you when you say I'm sitting here, you know, you're sitting there. We're not in the same place, but I can consider where you're sitting.
Right.
Um, but I don't know that there's ever kind of like the reality that's out there, because we're in a society. We're part of a society, and that society is always changing.
Who's that again? You said?
Was it Deleuze?
Oh, okay. I thought you
He
said Rene Descartes.
No,
Descartes.
no. Descartes is like almost like against that
Right. He
idea.
only material is real, right? To him,
Sort of, yeah, yeah,
materialistic world
right,
is the real world.
right. I'd say Deleuze is kind of not
Mm.
Descartesian
And
at
who
all.
was against Descartes? Well, it was somebody before Descartes that said the real world is actually something that is imagined, but the theoretical world is the more truth.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of theories on that. I wrote a little piece on it for the class and put it in my blog. It's called my literacy my media literacy class, and we were talking about reality. And so early on, the Greeks had got into this idea of what is real,
Right.
and Plato had a very interesting.
Plato, that's what I think it
Yeah.
was. He was the one that said, "I think therefore I am," more or less,
No,
right?
I think
No,
therefore I am. That's someone else.
yeah.
Oh, I mean, but his idea basically was around that.
He is, well, I mean, everything kind of like comes out of the Greeks.
Right.
So, I mean, the Greeks were maybe 2,000 years before the guy you're thinking of. But Plato had a very interesting idea about reality, which again I don't hold to, but he really influenced everybody. He said that there is a reality there, that kind of what you were saying. So you were kind of being platonic by saying there is a reality, but you can't really see it. The best you can get is a reflection of that reality.
Hmm.
So he had a thing called the allegory of the cave. You studied the
Right.
allegory. He's going like, yeah, the allegory of the cave.
It's scary.
It is a little bit scary, but I don't think it really is true.
Right. When you look in, well, when you hear the echo,
Not the
Go on,
echo.
yeah.
It's like it kind of goes back to like your perception of what you grew up with, your identity, and your um, way of life. Going back to, you said the clan members.
all
earlier?
right, the skinhead clan, they were part of both. So
Mhm.
yeah,
I
so
don't know. I
you can
came
say
in
whichever
late.
one.
I came in late.
Right.
So yeah, it's like they have that reality. The shadows, that's like to them, that's reality. That's their truth. And then when you realize that there's an outside
Out the cave.
out the cave, it's like, whoa, this is what a tree really looks like. Not this shadow we see on the walls.
Right.
Right. So that's one idea. I mean, if you want the whole treatment, I mean, this is the treatment of the allegory of the cave.
You need to watch that movie I sent you. What the bleep do we
I
know?
know. I was
Have yet
going
to see
to.
it.
I was going to watch it before the show today, and then I
Really?
thought maybe we could talk about that. And then I got into something else.
All right.
But
I'm gonna
yeah,
give you that as homework, Dr. Professor.
that's my homework.
What the
Before our
bleep
next,
do we know?
maybe we can talk about that the next
Yeah,
time.
I would love to talk about that with you because I think that's a awesome movie.
But for the allegory of the cave, you think of yourself as you're sitting in a chair, and you're tied down to the chair, and your head is forced to look in one direction, and the chair is faced towards the back of the cave.
Right.
All right. Now, right behind you is the opening to the cave. And outside behind, you can't turn around. You just can
Right.
face the back of the cave. And all you can see are the shadows of the things passing by outside the cave.
Hmm.
All right.
Right.
Now, outside the cave, that's reality. This is according to Plato.
Okay.
That's reality. But we can never see it because we can't turn around. All we see of reality is the shadows. Reality itself would be too much for us to see.
Right.
If we turned around, it would blow our mind and we would not exist anymore because we can't live there. All we can live is with the shadows of reality. That reality is actually perfection. So that if you have a chair, there is the different there's the idea of the chair, the perfect chair,
Right.
and then there's
That's
all
what it was, right? That's what I remember. I remember, and I think it was Plato that also said this, like, we don't know beauty, we just know what beauty is to us. But there is an idea of beauty that's never changing, that
Exactly.
exists. It's the idea of beauty that we can never understand, but all we know is beauty towards us.
Right. And all we see is the shadows of beauty.
Right, the shadows of beauty. And
And
we
what
think that's beauty, but that's not beauty. That's just what beauty is according to us.
Like women who said, "Look at these curves," or you look at the models from Victoria's Secret, and not Victoria's Secret. Well, those who express like you gotta have this thigh gap, you gotta see this collarbones and a bunch of other stuff. I don't even know. Like that's um,
Their reflections of beauty.
it's
Right.
yeah.
And Plato was against all things artistic. He was against, especially
philosophy
theater.
is art.
Not in that.
Wait,
not
is
that
he
we
the
said.
thinker that thinks things in like linear, that it's just
I don't know.
like shapes and stuff? I forget.
Well, I mean, the ideal that there is this ideal,
Right.
and that everything that we deal with is just a shadow of that ideal.
Right.
So there's an ideal microphone, right?
Where we have just a reflection of a
and what we
microphone,
have is
apparently.
just kind of like right. This is just one representation of that ideal.
right
But
representation of ideas.
the ideal
yeah.
is out there behind us in the reality that we can never go around and look at.
Mhm.
So he was always against theater, and I guess he would be against film because theater would be a reflection of a reflection.
right.
Think about that.
What about comics too?
Right.
Comics would be
I
a
was just talking about
reflection of
Captain America
reflection.
not too long ago. It's funny.
All right, let's see.
Actually,
Are
let-
there any
let's-
any black men or in that comic book?
Actually, Luke Cage is
Okay.
in here.
Right, nice.
So out of how many? He's one out of what?
I guess technically he's like that one person of color in there.
One person of color. Is there an Hispanic?
Nope.
Well, actually, I'll say this in
Wait.
comic books defense, they do have different universes where they have a whole bunch of different types
Yeah,
of
they
comics.
do. I was about to say,
The new Spider-Man is half black and half Dominican, isn't he?
yeah, I don't know about the Dominican part. I just know he's Afro Latino. It's Miles Morales, and I want
Right.
to rescind what I said before. Prowl technically is a person of color also within the Transformers universe. By the way, this is new Avengers and Transformers.
Avengers, Transformers, that
It's a
crossover.
it's-
But anyway, let's ask Izzy this question that you asked me earlier. Do you know of any white stereotypes
Yeah,
that
here we go.
that do not that reflect something negative about the white man? A white
Oh,
stereotype.
but wait a minute. There's more to it. A white stereotype that does not refer to an ethnic stereotype.
Right. There you go.
So in other words, white men can't jump is a stereotype that really refers to another.
It's because the
ethnicity.
black man can jump.
Right. So a white stereotype that just is white.
Right.
Go on. Find one.
Yeah.
Okay.
While
Now-
she thinks about that,
Yeah,
I'm gonna touch on something else.
I'm really thinking.
Yeah. Actually, we kind of was talking about something before we was talking about this, and that was with a few of the clubs in the school that have a little bit of feudal thing going on. I mean, we touched on it with the media and how they portray certain things, but I would like to touch on this. I will hope that honestly, I'm a big fan of everybody in here. I love the movie. You ever saw the movie Semi Pro with Will Ferrell? I know you're not too big on Will Ferrell, but it's when he was playing basketball and he was trying to get his team to the NBA, and there was a ABA team.
I didn't see it. I don't like his comedy.
Right. Well, there was one thing that he said in the movie, and I always try my best to live by it. And it's everybody love everybody. And I'm really big on that. I don't think that there should be any reason for anybody to. I mean, I understand, there's reason not to like anybody, but love everybody, man. I'm really peaceful. I try to be peaceful to the best of my ability until people break my peace.
I never seen you break your peace
Oh,
yet.
you haven't seen it, but it happened a few
I've
times.
seen you pissed off,
Right.
I'm assuming it's very scary.
but you didn't break the peace.
I tried not to break the peace. Trust me. I've everybody has quote unquote demons in their head or whatever. That's break the fucking peace. But break the peace.
I
But
think
I'd say my piece. Oh, Izzy, you got someone? All
I
right.
think I got two, but I don't know if it kind of
All right. Say
it
one.
only directs to Italians
All right.
with
do it.
air quotes. The first thing I came up with was there are girls who dress in their yoga pants and their matching colors with their hoodie sweater thing, and then that whole joke about basic girls and
Oh,
their Starbucks coffee, and then for the other thing is that Italians or white people are in the mob or in the mafia. And they're
Yeah, but
connected
I
to that.
wouldn't. Yeah, they're not white. They're
Wait.
Italian.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's
Right.
the only thing I could come up with.
the closest thing to white, I guess, that we could think of. But they what's funny?
Well, there is the Valley
Italians do consider themselves white, but I feel sometimes when it's convenient.
They hate on Sicilians, so I heard.
Exactly. It's like it's always a convenience thing where people consider themselves something.
They're like, nah, we're better
It's
than
like
you.
nah. It's like and this is always in the the Italian movies. They definitely don't consider themselves black, but they consider themselves white when it's right. It's like when it's right, yeah, I'm white. But when they're around their other Italians, they like to separate from the white. But when they're not with those Italians and they need to be white, they're white.
And also, I'm always trying to think in terms of Hollywood films, television,
Right.
especially films. And when you see the bad guy, it's the bad Italian mafia guy, who's killing stuff. But I mean, it's not a universal statement. I was just thinking that there are stereotypes about women, like the dumb blonde,
Right.
Oh,
There's the dumb
right?
blonde.
I
But
almost
that's
right.
not
forgot about
that's
that.
not yeah, but that's not the same thing as the racial signifier white male.
Right.
Because the woman is a minority, is
Sure.
one of those minorities,
Right.
and has been treated as such.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the woman is not paid as much. They took a long time to get the vote.
Just the fact that we say this shows that they're a minority. Is a woman ready to be president? Are we ready to have a female president?
Exactly.
Just that statement alone shows
Right.
that they're a minority.
I'll be like, what's that supposed to mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Are we ready to have a Jewish president?
Are we ready to
Yeah.
have
At one time, are we ready to have
a black president?
a Catholic president?
Shoot.
JFK.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he was the only Catholic president, wasn't he?
So far.
Yeah.
And then he did.
Yeah, and they killed him.
And
And also, while I put this on my Facebook not too long ago. It's funny how everybody that more or less brings people together always seem to get killed. Like now, if you do or don't want to believe in I'll call it a fable, just because of how different people may perceive it as. Some people take it literal. Some people take it literal. The Bible, um, Jesus, he tried to bring people together and he was killed.
Oh, yeah.
Martin Luther King Jr. tried to bring people together. He was killed. Malcolm X, when he was all about separation of people, because he used to be a Pan-Africanist, he was like, Africans stay with Africans, white stay with white. But until he went to Mecca and he saw the gathering of all different ethnicities, uh, all praying in the same temple and all following the same protocols, he came back to America and started preaching peace. And as soon as he started preaching peace, he got murdered.
Because they know it was gonna work.
Who
And then
else?
They didn't want to be ousted from power. Whoever was in power at the time.
Yes. And that's the thing. Is like people are so busy worrying about themselves that they need separation to survive. And it's funny how many people are about the vision that don't get killed like that. I feel like there's more people that preach unification that get killed than there are people that preach division that get killed.
they tried to kill Reagan. But
Oh.
I tried to kill Reagan.
Oh, stop it.
I'm trying to get at
How
You weren't even around.
I'm trying to get at Bill O'Reilly and Rush
Treason.
Limbaugh right now. Those are my big people right now.
Oh
Bill
my-
O'Reilly and Rush
I don't.
Limbaugh.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
All right.
Bill
I saw-
O'Reilly.
No, I saw clips.
Yeah, Rush Limbaugh is like the most open racist person without being openly racist. It's like he says things that's like, what? But he's like, blah, 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 and then everybody's okay with it. And Bill O'Reilly, did you see his thing about white privilege with Jon Stewart? I actually watched that
Yes.
episode. I was actually supposed to go to the studios to go see that, but I didn't go.
Why didn't you?
My heart was broken.
No, but why didn't you? Or you can't say.
No, my heart was broken.
Oh.
And I was supposed to go see that and the Colbert Report. I need to see a Colbert Report before he leaves. That's my homie.
Isn't he going to like the late?
Yes,
He's going to take over
David Letterman. Yep.
I think it's a shame because what's great about him is this character that he plays.
I love his character.
And when he gets onto Letterman, he's going to have to take on
Change.
some of that Letterman quality,
right.
Because it's a different audience.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen Colbert is basically a play on. Is it Bill O'Reilly? Yeah, it's a play on Bill O'Reilly.
Well, so
Oh
all
no,
those-
or it's Rush Limbaugh. No, it's Rush Limbaugh because he calls Rush Limbaugh Papa Limbaugh.
This man.
It's a play on his show. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah, the cookies aren't coming out.
No, they're not.
yeah.
Yeah, we may need a
Uh,
acetylene
well, you
torch.
could have that all, I
Yeah,
guess.
use
I
that
I'm
napkin.
mean,
gonna die
yeah.
from
Susie
diabetes.
just took out one
Yeah.
cookie and 4 or 5 others went along.
What else would you rather die
They went
from?
along with here. I'll get you a napkin.
I
What
got it.
would you rather die from since you said I would die for diabetes? And don't tell me old age. That's like,
Oh no, that's boring.
yeah, right, exactly.
Um,
Listen, I can't stay. I'm going to leave
thank you.
you in a few minutes, and you guys can play here with the studio,
Oh,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'll come on back because I have to take something over to the print shop. But
don't forget to email the print shop your file first.
oh, you have to email. Well, I was going to bring
Uh,
the files over.
print shop. No, you have to email them. Print shop at
PDF style too.
yeah. Well, it has to be PDF
I
because it's a letter that you're printing out, right?
No, no, I'm doing cards
Oh
and
yeah,
posters.
you send a PDF to print shop at John Jay.
Oh
because that's
God!
exactly what they told me when I was still in council.
Yeah.
Remember?
All right,
All
the
right.
good old days. Well, that's what I did recently for my little.
So
Oh,
that's
talking about this, let me give a shout out to this. Wednesday 29th, 2014, in the East End Cafe in a new building. Show Up and Listen is having their first event of the semester,
Yay!
and this event is in part of the No Labels campaign. Um, I don't know if anybody has seen this out there in the John Jay world, but there's been like little posters with some derogatory terms on them, such as bitch, slut, nigger, kite,
Thought.
um, thought, um, all those other what's the good labels? Faggot.
The
Uh,
majority of them seem to just be directed at minorities.
yeah. I mean, what stereotype? What label is there for?
Cracker.
Wow, that sounds real hurtful.
I, s-
Uh,
I still don't
I
know.
love crackers, so I don't can't say cracker with a
L-
bad mindset.
like Ritz? Ritz
Yeah, I love
BTN.
Ritz crackers. Actually, I go to Aldi and get the cheap Ritz. But anyway,
you Ritz, you
yeah,
you dirty Ritz.
you dirty Ritz. It doesn't roll off the
No, it
tongue as
doesn't ring.
other things that I could say about anybody else. It just sounds way better and worse at the same time. But
You animal cracker.
right, that one actually kind of hurt. I could feel that.
Yeah.
Animal.
But anyway, so this is with the No Labels campaign. We're trying to kill stereotypes and labels. At 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. in the East End Cafe, we're gonna start our open mic. People have a
On October 29th.
I'm sorry, that's the 29th? Yes, the 29th.
Right.
We're gonna have an open mic with different poets, spoken word artists, etc., coming to say their piece on labels that they have been identified with in their lifetime. And as we usually do, we like to keep our open mics as open as possible. So in the beginning, we'll ask whoever has those type of performances pieces to please express yourselves. But if you have a piece that doesn't pertain to the No Labels movement, we'll ask that you save that until we're done with the No Labels movement. So we hope to see everyone out there, even if you don't plan on performing. If you just want to come and see what's going on, come through. The more the merrier. We would love to see everybody there that are able to attend.
And where is it again?
East End Cafe. Well, so the cafeteria in the new building on the second floor. If you go close to the jaywalk where you can enter through there, there's some double doors there. You just open those double doors and we'll be in there kicking off the event.
I'll be there
Yep, Dr. Professor's there. We
with
got
my animal crackers.
with his animal crackers. You should write a poem called Animal Cracker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be dope.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, and talking about No Labels, there was a club that was in No Labels that is now no longer part of No Labels, and that's due to something outside of what I'm about to express. We do want to kill the label, but we want to make sure that when we do kill the labels, that we are doing it in the correct way. And that label that this club was using was terrorists. I'm pretty sure you heard about the thing with SJP, right? And Hello Club.
Is it what happened a few weeks ago when they were
Yes.
protesting?
So
I have
I heard things.
you have to be on the mic. Otherwise,
yeah,
I heard things like,
right.
but
Well, I'll say a little something based on things that I have seen personally that I expect better from SJP. I don't have a problem expressing this to anyone's face, and I don't have a problem. Everything that I say behind someone's back, if it's about that person, I can say it to your face real easily. So if anybody wants to talk to me about what I'm saying or what I'm about to say, please feel free to talk to me as long as I'm not busy. And we could talk. because I'm down for talk, I'm down for communicating, I'm just not down for insulting people. And I feel like that's something that I felt a type of way that SJP kept on doing, which I felt disgusting. Um, I ever
SJP stands for what?
Students for Justice in Palestine,
No.
SJP. I forgot to express that. So the first thing I would like to state is I remember when we had the problem with the budgets for the clubs and everybody had only half of the money that they requested approved.
Mm.
Now, only reason why I'm bringing that up is because of what's going to happen afterwards is that I was upset and I was very vocal about it inside of student council. So vocal that they kicked me out of student council.
What?
Yes.
Wait, was this a COC meeting or the
It-
second round of budget meetings?
It's the first round COC meeting. It's like after they decided, oh, we're gonna have everybody's budget. When Giovanni declared that, I was off my shit. But anyway, after that, I was speaking with other clubs who had that were gypped of their money in pathetic ways. Hillel Club. I have nothing against any club. I'm gonna start off with saying that Hillel Club only asks for $600.
No.
No.
That's because they're Jewish and they have a lot of money.
Right.
Hey.
Let me be more accurate. They only asked for $598.31. They got halved for their budget.
How?
And I found that to be utterly disgusting because I had that in my pocket. I was like, I'm asking you for money that I could give them. Like, I felt like the $600 alone, they should have got that. Period.
And they didn't ask for a lot.
They were a club for how long, and they can't get $600. That alone is disgusting. I was telling the president of the Hello Club, like, that's disgusting, and there's no way you shouldn't be getting your full $600.
All right, but just to be fair,
Right.
Matthew, it wasn't just because they were the Hillel Club. This was across the board.
Right. It was across.
I mean, that's the point you're trying to make.
Right.
I don't want people to think.
Right.
But
Exactly.
what I want to know is
It was across the board that everybody got half, but I felt like theirs was worse than anyone else's because a new club's limit is $1,000.
Yeah.
They asked for less than what new clubs are permitted to have, and they got half. And I felt like the fact that they got half, I knew for a fact, and I tell everybody this in student council without any problem. I tell this to Sharif and I tell this to Giovanni. There is no way in hell y'all read our budgets if y'all just had everybody's stuff.
I also have a question. What reason did they give?
They said that we asked that all clubs together asked for double the amount of money that they're permitted to give out per semester. So they decided to halve everybody's budget. The thing that I found weird about that is because since I've been involved with clubs, which were since I've been a member of John Jay, well, I wasn't a member since I was in John Jay, but since 2012 of the spring semester, I've been involved with clubs, whether it be Law Society, SJP, Students for Justice in Palestine, or the club that I made, Shut Up and Listen. But I've always been around in different clubs, and trying to figure out exactly how things work. And I've worked with club executives. Every time they had COC and a club, then the budget defense, there was actually a budget defense.
Mm-hmm.
They actually reviewed your budget with you in front of everybody, in front of all COC. And they said, do you need this? Do you need this much? Okay, you could lower that down some. Why do you ask for so much of this? And they went through it with everyone, step by step by step by step to make sure that everyone knew exactly what you need and what you don't need. The fact that they just halved everybody's budget means two things to me. They didn't look at the budgets, or they just took the easy way out because they don't want to really review people's budgets and have the defense. And I felt like that's pathetic on student council's part. I tell the student council all the time. I have no problem saying it.
I'm just going to do a station and identification because we should do that like professionals.
Station of identification.
Yeah, this is where things make sense on Radio 568. I'm Professor Alan Winson with Dizzy. I don't know Dizzy's last name.
Izzy.
That's
a new nickname for you, though.
Izzy. And Matthew Bishop. We're talking about the incidents here at John Jay that dealt with stereotypes, and Matthew was talking about the clubs. So again, where things make sense on Radio 568. It's October 24th at about 2:30. We've been on the air for about 40 minutes. Go on, Matthew. I'm sorry.
All right, it's okay. No problem. But anyway, to continue on, I would say that after such was taking place, and everyone saw how vocal I was being, the president of Hello Club, who is not as vocal as I am,
Is his name Joe?
it was a she.
She. Sorry.
Yes. I don't remember her name.
I don't know, but like
Sorry, I
you, I'm
forgot your
like
name.
almost sort of involved with other clubs too, but I always
Right.
forget who is
I think Joe was the
who.
president last year.
Yeah.
Right. But when I was speaking to her, she was like, is it possible that you could also speak on behalf of my club? Because you seem like you would blah blah blah. And I was like, sure, no problem.
Are you
And
Dr. Martin Luther King
I
Jr.?
I, I don't I don't know. I doubt it.
Civil rights for the clubs.
Man, I'm down for rights for humans. I don't care what human, what they look like. Everybody deserves rights, man. But anyway, to continue on, that's what it says in your comic book
Nah,
that the Transformers get rights.
it's a whole lot of history.
Okay. So what I was saying is she, asked for me to do such, and I guess as a gesture, of well-being, I guess, or whatever the case may be, she gave me her hello pin. So I was wearing her hello pin,
Oh my god.
right? It said hello on it and it had the Star of David.
That's a big gesture
That's a big gesture, right?
from her.
You're right. So
Because you can't clubs wouldn't just give away pins for any reason unless you do, but then that's not the point.
right. But then again, I'm me, and I think I'm kind of awesome, kind of
Awesome.
kind of awesome.
Since you're getting off the topic, I just want to
Um,
let you know I was the president of my Hillel club at the University of Florida
Really
Ooh.
when I was an undergraduate. Yep.
nice. That's what's up.
Yeah.
You went to University of Florida?
University of Florida.
Oh,
We didn't call it University of Florida. It was just like University of Florida.
So it's
okay.
UF.
UF. Off.
Right. Of.
Or yeah, the O was silent, I guess, in the University. But anyway, so she gave me her pin, and after all the drama, because that has nothing to do with the story, took place with them, I went back to Club Row with my hello pin proudly on my book bag, and in there I encountered
Oh no.
one of the executive members. I don't know exactly what she is. I think she's the president, but I don't want to lie on her like that. Of Students for Justice in Palestine. And when she saw me with this, she was like, "Oh my God, what is that on you?" She was like trying to slap it off my bag.
Wow.
And I was like,
That is
disrespect automatically. And I was like, "What's the problem?" She was like, "Do you know what that is?" And I was like, "It's the Hello Club's pin." And then
No.
she was like, "No, that's those blah, 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 blah." And she just went on a rant about
Oh.
exactly about her people being this and that. And I said, "Look, if you give me a pin, I'll rock it too.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing this because of all of that. I'm wearing this because of my conversation with the president of the Hello Club. I'm
Well-
not wearing it because I'm trying to insult you. And if you had a pin that you want me to put on, I will put it on right now. You haven't given me a pin. You have a pin you want to put on me?" And then she was like, "No, but you shouldn't wear that because of what they stand for." And I was like, "What do they stand for? I don't sound like they stand for anything wrong to me. They're in a Hello Club." And I'm pretty sure that John Jay wouldn't let a club do anything against a different person, you know? And she was like, "No, those are for Zionists and this and that." And I was like, "Well, a lot of people in my family are Rastafarians, and those are Zionists as well." And she was like, "No, but those are different types of Zionists. Those are not the ones that are here kicking people out of their land and all this stuff." And I was like, "Look, I've been a member of Students for Justice in Palestine since I came to John Jay. I had known the past three, well, I'll say two, the past two presidents, because I don't know if she was a president. I knew the past two presidents for Students for Justice in Palestine. One thing that I won't do is shit on another club because I'm friends with another club. I'm a part of Shut Up and Listen. I would never shit on any other club in this school. I don't shit on other people for no reason. If I shit on a person, it's because of that person, not because of what I heard about that person, whatever the case may be." And I was telling her, I didn't have any bad conversations with her. I'm not wearing this as an attack against you. I have nothing against you. This is just a pin that I'm wearing that I was given. And honestly, if you have a problem with that, I think that you need to relook into exactly how you will go about your things. And she was like, "You know what? Don't even talk to me no more." And then she demanded that I walk away from her, which I did without a problem. The funny thing about it is, I didn't know at the time that Students for Justice in Palestine were a part of No Labels campaign. So I seen her every single time after that.
I think that's sort of hypocritical
Very hypocritical. And
because,
let me
like,
tell you something that makes it even more hypocritical. And I'm sorry, this is the last part I'm going to say before I get rid of my talking. Another thing that Students for Justice in Palestine did under me, and the only reason I said under me is because I was the host of the No Labels startup campaign that was on the first floor landing. Were you there?
yeah, I was
You was
there
there, right?
eating hot dogs.
And right. And the thing was that we were supposed to do, each club was supposed to give out stereotypes or labels that they were considered.
Mm.
And the thing that was weird, well, not weird, but I felt crazy disrespected and like going completely against what we were doing was while we was doing this, all the clubs came up and said different labels. DSA said spick, this club said that, socially awkward said weirdo. SJP came, and which one I understand, they said they're tired of the term terrorist. I'm 100% behind that. They go on saying, our people has been this and that and this and that, and I'm tired of being called terrorists only because of a few Muslim extremists.
Yes.
I completely agree with that because if we declared every group just based on their extremists, we could call all Christians Klan members because Ku Klux Klan are Christian extremists, and they're
Mhm.
Christian extremists to a whole different story. There's a lot of extremists for every different sect and denomination that we could go about, but who got time for that? Um, the worst thing that she said was when I had to take the mic away from her. She said, "We're tired of Palestinians be called terrorists because those people are the real terrorists. These people are terrorizing us. These people are terrorists because of that. They're terrorists. They're terrorists." And I was like, okay, thank you. And I was like, I don't understand how we got a no labels campaign when you're throwing labels at somebody else. And I could say from those two experiences alone, and these are the ones I've personally been a part of. And there's other ones that I have seen because I'm always around in the school. I cannot get down with how Students for Justice in Palestine move. Not this semester. Currently, not this semester.
Now, President Travis, I'm looking at it now, wrote a somewhat long letter that went out to the community.
Yes, he did.
Wait, was it?
That's
was an
relating
email.
directly to this, an email letter. I'll read a bit of it if you'd like.
Sure, please.
But it
haven't
sounds
read
like
it
this
yet.
is a direct response to what happened during that event. Is that right, or was there
No,
something else
there
that
was
happened?
there was more events. It was like probably 3 events that went down this semester that made the Hillel Club. Because what originally happened was I don't want to pick sides.
Me either.
But I will say, from what I've seen, the Hillel Club has been harassed more or less within every event that Students for Justice in Palestine has. So the Hillel Club originally had posted on a website about the things that go on in John Jay against them. So based on that original post on the website, it's like a blog for halal clubs in different universities.
Oh, so it's like a CUNY-wide thing.
It wasn't a CUNY, it's like a American university wide.
Hillel is across the nation.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh wait, so
Right.
the one we have here is a chapter or something.
It's a
It's not-
chapter,
it's-
and yeah,
It's kind of a chapter, but it's still a
Or
John Jay
something.
club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Hillel itself is universal. But they have posted this on a website that's for all halal clubs across America in colleges. And from what they posted, I'm assuming that one of the students has sent that to student council and to President Travis, because student council, I remember reading it while I was in student council talking to their executive secretary, Tay Diggity. She's the executive secretary, right? Tay Diggs.
Oh, that's
Tay.
Tay-Shay.
All right.
Tay-Shay.
I call her. She has a million nicknames too. So I was there reading it with her, and I was like, I can't blame the Hello Club for feeling the way they feel. And what happened after that was that I guess the Students for Justice in Palestine also got that email, and then they posted on SJP's Universal their website for all the American clubs, and they have posted about how they've been I guess what's the word I'm trying to use, how they've been downplayed or whatever the case is. Yes, this is the one that I was talking about. This is disgusting. I was there for this event. the Jewish week, right? I was reading this and I was like, this is ridiculous. From
For anyone who doesn't know what Matthew's looking at, we're looking at a headline in the New York, the Jewish Week. And there's a picture. If you go to it online, you can see it. I just Googled John J. Hillel terrorist. And the title of the article is "Hostile Environment for John J. Jewish Students: Mounting Tensions at Criminal Justice College Since Gaza War."
right,
And then it shows a picture of, I guess, the SASP,
SJP,
SJP.
and they have bloody signs that says "Welcome to Israel."
Right. There's a sign, "Welcome to Israel," with looks like blood on it.
Right,
Right.
and
That situation is very,
and
very, very
and the
touchy.
thing, and if I think if you scroll down, you can see more of the pictures. They had practically body bags when they had the
I saw that for like a few seconds and I went back down for some reason. I don't know what I was doing.
yes, and I was like, what? They had like people on the floor in white blankets, like they're dead, and it was like, this is. I think you have the picture right there, and it was like saying, this is what happens, blah blah blah, all the time since the Gaza war, blah blah blah, and they get crucifying us, they're killing our people, and they're calling us terrorists when they are terrorists. These are the real terrorists. Open your eyes and see the real terrorists. There's terrorists in the school, blah blah blah, and I was like, what? I honestly, that's when I left. I said I couldn't support this. And and I got an invitation. It was like, you want to come and protest with us? First thing, I'm down for protest, but we have to be clear on what we protest and what we're trying to achieve out this protest.
It's very interesting here because it said here. I'm reading this article now. I'll read it closer. I'm sorry I didn't read it earlier. But Kornfeld, who's Kornfeld? Is he with Hillel?
I don't know who Kornfeld is.
Yeah, it looks like someone with Hillel. Described the incident similarly. Quote, "We were all in one corner and they started
Yup.
moving in," he said. Yael was holding a sign that said, "Israelis want peace." And they came within a foot with us. They kept closing in. So
They were actively being extremely disrespectful.
they kept on shouting, just shouting, shouting. They were really aggressive. They literally pointed at us, she said. I
Yep.
felt pretty singled out.
Isn't
They
that
pointed at them and said, those are the real terrorists.
so? Back to the whole stereotyping and generalizing of things. Is that sort of an example of generalizing
Yes.
of people, especially since they themselves have nothing
Yes.
personally to do with
Exactly.
the conflict? They're just
They live in
in the-
America like you.
they live. they're like in the line of fire. Is that what's going on?
And the thing is that I could understand from the Hillel Club is that what they do is they say, this is the reason why our people do whatever they do. I'm not saying I agree with them,
Yes.
but this is the reason why the people do what they do. And I could understand why that would still make SJP upset, is because they're like, but you're not saying that they're wrong. And you have to understand, like, only because they don't say that they're wrong doesn't mean that they believe that they are right. You have to. It's just too hostile.
There is no way that we could find a place for these two groups to get together and actually have a discussion.
Nope.
Something at all approaching some intellectual discussion, not non-emotional, but something that
It's
kind
not going
of
to happen.
looked at it analytically. There is no place for them to sit down at a table here or any place.
They won't. You know what's going to happen? SJP, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say this. Certain members of SJP are extremely aggressive to what they believe, and they don't want to hear anything outside of what they believe. So what they will do is they will just vocalize their point until you agree with them, or they will just keep on vocalizing their point. That's all that matters. It's either agree or nothing. And it's like we can't even agree to disagree. It's like, no, you must agree on this point.
It's what we talked about earlier. It's the one side of the spectrum
They're
of
in the
those people
cave.
who are
Yeah.
well, they're in the cave, yeah, but they're not willing to reconsider the situation, not willing to analyze, to consider, to
Right.
take in the other point of view, because the other point of view is anathema to them. The other point of view is evil, is bad.
Right.
They're not seeing the other point of view as coming from another human being. It's coming from these objects that are hated by them.
And the thing that bothers me about that is that out of all people, they
Jews
should
do
know
that
better
too, by the way.
because
There
I
are
would
Jews
say
that are as one-sided as
Yeah.
Palestinians.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know a
it can happen
few
both ways.
I know a few Orthodox Jews that converted into non-Orthodox, I guess, that
Hmm.
families had literal funerals for them.
Yep.
And the thing that I
Yep.
was saying, out of all people, I think SJP should understand that because, as they see in American media all the time, Muslims are considered terrorists. Muslim equates terrorist. Terrorism equates Muslim right
That's so
now,
disgusting.
and that yeah, exactly. It's a horrible way to view any one person based on an extremist, and the fact that they want to not be looked at as such, they shouldn't be looking at anybody else that way. Why would you expect something from somebody that you can't do yourself? That you refuse to do yourself, even better. Because it's like they could do it. It's just that they won't do it because they feel like, no, this is the way it is. End of story.
Now, the president wrote a letter. I just wanted
I
to get
found the
to it.
email.
I just want to get to a little bit of it. It's many paragraphs long,
Yes.
Yeah.
and he talks about kind of what's happened, and that this doesn't happen at John Jay, and that it's a particularly difficult time now with a lot of Jewish, anti-pro-Nazi kind of things going on in Europe. And I mean, there's you can read the letter. It was sent out to the community. And if anyone who's listening wants a copy of the letter, just you can tweet us at Radio 568JJ hashtag Radio 568JJ, and I can
Is
tweet
that
that tweet that.
JJAY or just
No, no, no.
JJ?
It's just we have to put a JJ on Radio 568 because someone else has that
Radio
hashtag.
568?
Radio 568JJ.
So
Wait,
letter
somebody else
J,
has
letter
Radio 568?
Yeah. Why?
Who took Radio 568?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
It's there's a Holland group. There's that had Radio 568,
Okay.
and so we had to add on Radio 568 JJ.
The two letters JJ.
letter J, letter J.
The JJ,
Right.
right?
RADIO 568 JJ.
Right. And you can tweet us, and I'll send this letter out. But at the end of the letter, he obviously is trying to mend it here. He's trying to make it better. So he's kind of looking for solutions. And he writes, it is critically important that all students feel safe and are not subjected to harassment or hostility. I will be meeting with all three student groups. And which three are they?
He's also talking about the Muslim club.
Okay. All three student groups over the next several days. My immediate goal will be to listen carefully to their concerns and ideas. The overarching objective is to ensure that these three student groups can work together respectfully as they have in the past.
Yes.
And from what I'm getting used, they have in the past. I expect to learn a lot from this dialogue, and I'm confident that the college will move quickly and constructively beyond the tensions of the past few weeks. So my question
Especially for the
But-
50th anniversary.
I'm going to tell you this.
but my
All right.
question is that possible?
Well, I don't think it's possible. And I'll also say this. It wasn't until after this letter was sent out that SJP put what they put on their website. Like, for like, they have the Jewish week. Right. It wasn't until after this letter was sent out that they're now criticizing John Jay for not allowing them to protest peacefully, which they consider peacefully.
I don't think going after people who have personally have no role in the conflict be considered.
They might have a link on their website, on their Facebook. If you check, there might be one.
I mean, like Osama, who was
A former president.
he was a former president
Osama,
of SJP, and
he's a good friend of mine.
Yes.
He's a really good
I
friend of
was
mine.
like, you're part of SJP. Like, he's the reason why I know about Students for Justice in
Exactly.
Palestine. So that atmosphere around him and the club was different to what it is now.
And I could also say this. Osama, he did have his feelings about certain things that the Hillel Club was doing. And the thing that he did was, go to their club coordinator, which was John. I think John still is their coordinator.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing about having the same coordinator. So, you make sure that everybody's on the same page with everything. He did go to John and say, I don't like this because this is anti-Semitic or this is whatever the case may be. They always have that thing going on where he would express himself like that. And I was glad that he didn't do what I see being done now, which is harass or antagonize, because what I'm seeing is disgusting, honestly. He's
I'm kind of seeing here and other. I went to the SJP Facebook, and it connected to Sean M. Kennedy. I don't know who this is, but the title of his blog is John Jay, College President, Palestinian Solidarity Activism Fuels Anti-Semitism. And then it goes on and talk. these incidences on our campus occurred at a time. This then he quotes Travis's
Yep.
email. This is the rest of the statement employs the kind of platitudes. This is about Travis's email. The rest of the statement employs the kind of platitudes automatically used to dress up such repression in the guise of encouraging free and open discussion. The particular phrase Travis uses, but let's be clear, this is the latest example that free and open discussion of Palestine and the Israeli occupation and colonization of it is not as free and open as CUNY administrators pretend that it is. Boy, this is a complex issue.
It's not going to be
Oh, it
solved.
very
It's not going to
is.
be solved. And I know it's not going to be solved just based on the people that are um executive board members of. I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say this. Unless the executive board of SJP could change how they see things, this conflict will not be resolved this semester or next semester either if they're the same executive board.
Just to be fair, I was citing from Sean M. Kennedy's blog. He's a former journalist and a third year PhD student in English at the Graduate Center, where I got my doctorate.
Woo.
Good place.
Dr. Professor.
But obviously, he's got an opinion here, and he does not see that the Travis approach is going to work.
I know it won't work. And you know, the thing is, I'll also say is when SJ, I'm gonna say this happens to everybody, and you know, we say it like this: it's two sides to the story. It's my side, your side, and the truth. Um, you know, and I feel like we're not gonna uncover the truth. All we're gonna do is uncover the two different sides and why certain people feel that this is right and certain people feel like this is wrong. I will hope that we could come to an agreement on what is okay, but I don't feel that will happen in the near future.
And anyone who is listening to the live broadcast now or will be listening to the podcast, which will be available right after we're done here, and has any comments on this and any solutions about what should be done, whether you agree with President Travis's approach. I can't say I disagree with it. I don't know what else he could do. And his statements seem to be quite even-handed, but I mean, all he was asking for was for
To
kind of
talk.
civil
want to talk.
discussion. He wasn't, he wasn't denying anyone's right to make an argument. So I don't see him saying that, but I don't see that the environment is such that we can have that civil conversation, and I don't know how we can get to it. So if anyone has anything to say about this, please tweet us at hashtag Radio568JJ. We'll monitor that either now or into the future. So this was very, very interesting, and I would love to be able to get at some point representatives from the Muslim Club and the
Students for
Palestinian
Justice in
Club.
Palestine and
Yeah,
Hillel Club.
right. I mean, even the Student for Justice in Palestine, that is a political statement in itself.
Yeah.
And I can't deny that they don't have that, but is it right to ask the question, is that is a college a place for that? If these clubs are really, it should be more cultural, it should be about the Palestinian culture, but it's really a political club.
It's
I have a question.
very direct.
I see that in this email it says that also involved was or is the United Nations Student Association.
I think they were a part of
It's like USNA.
yeah, they're part of, I believe, the same protests where they were the body bags. And I think that the thing that was funny is that they was comparing what's happening in Palestine, and there was comparing that to Ferguson.
It seems to me that the college is a perfect place to have the very complex, discussion, not the one-sided, I'm right, you're wrong kind of black and white discussion.
Right.
It's a place for us as college students, skeptical people who are looking at the world and trying to enter it, instead of starting with rhetoric, in other words, starting with set argument, to start with some kind of, let's look at what's going on. Let's look at the sides. What do you have to say? What do I have to say? Let's see how, this is how I look at it. How do you look at it? And it shouldn't be the protest should not be here. If you want to protest, that's fine. I think there are places to
Right.
protest. You protest in front of the Israeli embassy, but protesting here at the college seems inappropriate. Politically, it's not. This is not what we're about.
And the thing that SJP keeps on saying to argue that is we have the freedom to speak. And it's
Well,
like
do.
you have your First Amendment rights, but don't forget the First Amendment right, freedom to speak, is also the freedom not to speak. And I feel like you have to do everything in moderation.
And is there from either side, is there any value to hearing what the other side has to say? Is there
Hmm.
any value in reconsidering the situation, in looking at it in more complex rather than black and white ways? Isn't that what it is to be a college student, to see the world not as black and white, but to see the world as a whole bunch of grays and browns and
50
yellows
Shades
and
of Grey.
purples? And
Don't be like Rorschach from Watchmen.
I'm going to have to take off. You guys can
Yeah,
continue. But
actually, I'm about to take off too
I
as
think
well,
you've covered this
honestly.
topic very, very well. I'm going to put a star next to this program.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
I know a little bit about something.
No, it's an important topic, and
Yeah.
we shouldn't stop the talk, the conversation.
So anyway, this is DJ Don't Stop. I'm here with Dr. Professor and Izzy 45.
Beep.
It was a great show. I hope that everyone that has something to say will, comment. If not on the YouTube page, definitely comment on
Hashtag Radio568JJ.
there you go. So any closing statements?
I'm going to be bowling tomorrow out at Essex in Bloomfield.
Okay.
So everyone wish me luck. I've been bowling really well lately. So
Good luck,
since I
sir.
said that, I'll probably really burn and crash tomorrow.
Well, we'll find out next week, huh?
Yeah, sure. I'll let you know.
All right. So is this a competition for money?
No, it's just it's for fun and the honor of, like
Bragging rights?
beating the hell out of the other team.
It's like, yeah. Now,
Lies.
Izzy?
I'm going to Fright Fest tomorrow. Woo!
All right. And me personally, I have two closing statements. Just a reminder, my no labels, my club shopping list is part of the no labels campaign. And on Wednesday in the new building, it's October 29th, in the East End Cafe, we'll be having our first open mic this semester from 1 to 2:50. Make sure you come out. Even if you don't have anything to say, just make sure you come out and support your fellow students. And I'll close with the quote from Will Ferrell in the movie Semi-Pro. Everybody love everybody. Thank you all, and best of luck with your life. Amen.
This thing like yours about like everybody love everybody. I was like, oh, Optimus Prime has something like till all are one, basically to like hopefully all conflict just ends, but it never does.